turn on the record. All right. Excellent. Okay, so it's starting to record. We're going to go ahead and start. And like I said, when Coach Sellers comes on, we'll let him kind of do our coach's corner. I don't even remember what I called it. I do want to officially apologize to everybody for last week. I guess some of us, we still have to work every once in a while. And so it was a blessing to actually have to do something. And to say I have a job, like unfortunately a lot of people nowadays don't. And, we're about to enter into a scary time, especially for collegiate sports. If things do not happen, we're hoping and praying that we still are employed, so that's our prayer. Public school teachers and coaches, that is a blessing in disguise for you guys. And so, count your blessings. But so last week I had to do some work, and so I had to cancel that one kind of unannounced. So I apologize for that. And then yesterday I just been completely lost in my studies. And so Coach Sellers sent me an email and goes, "Hey, send me that link." I'm like, "Oh, sorry." And I thought, no one cares. And I had 12 text messages and tweet reminders. "Hey, send me the link, send me the link." So I was excited to know that you guys missed it. And so this is a makeup kind of jump in. We're going to kind of continue on. So if you guys know, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Jason Covarrubias. I'm the head cross country and track coach at Southwestern Assemblies of God University. And this is what we call the coach's logbook session. I think this is by far one of the best opportunities to learn, because you got some of the best in the business right here. You're the best in the business because you do it every single day. And we are riding the wave of the unknown. And the unknown is still rolling through just as much as it was in March. And it is now almost in August. So, and so we're going to go around. I'm going to let you introduce yourselves and just kind of let me know who you are, what you coach, where you coach at, and then so everyone can see, because the way we do this coach's logbook, everybody has a voice. We encourage everyone to contribute. If you want to contribute, that's awesome. If you do not, you're not forced to. I'm not going to withhold any certificate after, because I am going to send you all a certificate so you can use it, because there is coaching school going on that they charge you a lot of money to go to, but this one's free. Don't tell anybody. And but so I'll send you a certificate after. But let's go ahead and start that. I'm going to go ahead and just look at the way my computer's set up. David, go ahead.
I'm David Cox. I'm an assistant track coach at SAGU with Coach C.
Excellent. Welcome. Other David, jump on. That makes it easy there.
Hey, David Burciaga. I'm one of Coach C's runners here at SAGU.
And David is our team chaplain. So I've invited my leadership team to join us as well. Okay. Coach Alonzo.
Coach Alonzo from Irving MacArthur High School, head girls and boys cross country and girls head soccer coach, entering my 19th year at MAC.
That's awesome. All right. Matt.
What's up, guys? I actually just joined on at Village Tech with Ben Nicholas. My name's Coach Farina. You call me Coach Farina, Matt, whatever. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited to get started rolling with him, and I think he's got a lot of good things to offer. So, I'm excited to be working with him.
Excellent. Okay, so I am a guy that doesn't forget a face or a name. Tell me if I'm wrong, and this is just coming out of the blue. Did you run at Mansfield High School?
I did, yeah. I ran at Mansfield High.
Boom. I remember that. Good Lord. Now you coach?
This will be my first year technically coaching. I coached women's basketball and women's track like for half a year at North Garland. And last year I took some time off. I just taught. And then luckily Ben approached me about a month ago telling me there was an assistant cross-country coaching position open at his school. So I was like, I guess I'm going to jump back into it. So I'm excited to do it.
Excellent. So where did you compete at?
So after Mansfield, I ended up running at Stephen F. Austin. Yeah. So
Excellent. Awesome. Well, welcome. I was like, man, I know that kid. I've seen him before. We competed against him. I feel super old for sure. Excellent. Well, welcome. All right, Coach Hinkle.
thanks, man.
Yeah, Coach Scott Hinkle. I'm over at Everman High School, Everman ISD. I am the new head girls and boys cross country coach, and I'm also the head girls soccer coach.
There you go. Awesome. Coach Harris.
Good afternoon, everyone. Tony Harris. I'm Zooming with you from Jacksonville, Texas, where I coach cross country and then track and field.
Awesome. Welcome back. All right, Robert.
Hey everyone, I'm Robert. I'm one of Coach C's runners, and I'm the distance captain there at SAGU.
Entering his last year. I think he's had 20 years of eligibility, but we're excited to have Robert. All right, I'm going to go on Alyssa Holder.
Hey guys, I run for SAGU and for Coach C.
She has just been named our women's captain this week. So excited to have her on board. And all right, Ben.
Hey, I'm Ben Nicholas. I'm the athletic director and head cross-country coach at Village Tech Schools. We are entering our second year of what I call real athletics, but we are entering our third year of cross-country. So really excited to have Matt on board. We ran together in high school too, but you didn't remember me.
No, I'm sorry.
That's okay. He was a much better runner than I was. He was a much better runner than I was.
He was a stud. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, he was. But
Ben
excited to
was
have him
actually
on
the
board.
one who got me into cross country. So yeah, he's the one who caused me to join track.
but pumped to figure out what we can do for the remaining of our season.
Awesome. I didn't realize you both ran for Danny.
Yes, sir.
Yep, Danny's a good friend
Yeah,
of mine.
Hector, Danny, whatever you want to call him, Calderon.
Hector.
We like to call him
Calderon,
Hector.
Yeah, I call him Danny. I've known him for a long time, back in our Dallas Baptist days. That's how
Oh, you
old
ran
I
him
am.
with at DBU?
Say I did, yes.
Oh, okay. That's awesome.
Yep, guns up. Sometimes I don't know why I did that. I'm sorry. Those are West way back, a long time ago. Also, okay, let's see. Brian.
All right, Brian Zuno. I'm the head cross-country, track and field, and baseball coach at Harmony School of Innovation in Fort Worth, a charter school that unfortunately is in the 3A division. We should be in 1A, but got the good news that we actually do get to start our season on time. Now we're just hoping to find meets that stay open in August and early September, and we're ready to get at this.
There you go. Awesome. All right, Coach Castro.
Yes, my name is Felipe Castro. I'm the 15th year here at Pflugerville, Hendrickson, and I've been teaching and coaching for 25 years. And the way I look at it, I got this link from Coach Jose Campos from Lulin in South Austin, and it's never too late to learn something. You know, you don't get old. You just get old when you stop learning. You don't stop learning when you get old. So I'm going to try to see what I can learn and continue my education in here.
Excellent. Well, welcome. Jose should make his way on. I didn't want to say it last time. Jose Campos, he was the one that was working. He was actually working on my mask at the time. We had added some our logo to some masks, and so he does a little side hustle. And but he was named the head cross-country coach at Luling High School. So I knew that. I kind of wanted to say it, but I didn't. That it was he just finished his interview with that, and so we're excited to have Campos being one of our representatives from SAGU going back home and going to make that thing a winner again. So I think Coach Sellers, he also lives in Wyoming, so they could be on a different time. I did put Central Standard Time, but we'll let him show up. If he shows up late, that's awesome. Oh, hold up. The man, he just needed the entrance. That's all he wanted him. That's all he wanted. He wanted to make sure he was good. Let's let him kind of get set up. And I will, we won't throw him under the bus yet. I'll kind of give him a little introduction before, but I know how that works when you're trying to set up your audio, your video, and good stuff like that. But see if he can. Hey, Coach Sellers, you okay?
Yeah, can you see me?
No, sir. We can hear you.
I'm here, but I had a heck of a time getting on here.
So if you look on the bottom next to the microphone, there is like a video camera. If you click that, it will open up your camera and activate your camera. Oh, there you go.
All right.
There he is.
All the way
Awesome.
from Wyoming, buddy.
So, hey, Coach Sellers, we just went through introductions. And so we're going to go ahead and it's kind of time for you, but we're going to go ahead and I want to explain kind of how this relationship between you and I kind of started. So I coached for a long time at Cedar Hill High School. And so we had a great year. Speaking of Mansfield High School, we were legit. We worked hard, but we could never beat the ones that kind of had plans and seemed like they had everything going. And so I was just tired of getting beat. We'd go to regionals and we'd get whooped by South Lake Carroll. And, you know, that was before Hebron really got going. And so I went up to Justin Leonard one time and said, hey, Coach, what are you doing, man? I am tired. We were legit the best team I've ever put together. And we finished 9th at regionals and we're nowhere close. And he said, you got to come to a clinic. I was like, what the heck you mean? No, here, give me some notes. Here's a piece of paper. Call me, record it, whatever you need. I just need to learn. And he said, no, you have to come to a clinic. I can't explain it. Because it's more than just some workouts. And so 2000, where are we at? I would say it was probably 2007. I stepped foot into Fort Worth Southwest High School and met Coach Sellers at my first Pavo clinic. And I tell you, I was blown away. My mind was mush leaving. The 2-day clinic, went back the next year, was just as much mush. But I built a relationship with Jason Grenier, who was at Hebron, and just started working with people, and Coach Sellers and Coach Barnett, and who was at Luling, and Coach Sellers. We just kind of grew together, and so Coach Sellers has just been a huge, vital part of the success of our program. Not necessarily when we're talking about accolades and things like that, but how we have developed a program that has truly changed the makeup of a lot of young people's lives. And that's what sold me on Pavo. People think they have a lot of different speculations on Pavo, but I don't really care what people think. I see exactly what it does for young people and how it gives them an opportunity to find the best they can possibly be, the best version of themselves. I'm all for it. And so I became the best coach I possibly could be when I got out of the way. And I remember that day when I made that statement at a Luling clinic, and that next year we won a national championship for the first time, and it was nothing to do with me. It's because I allow kids to be kids and allow them to really grow into who they are. And so when we started these clinics, I just really talked to Coach Sellers one day, and I said, hey, Coach, I'd be interested if you'd like to come and just do our Coach's Minute. And what that is just basically a time that we get to learn. And we're not, having to kind of implement anything or even, input anything. We're just allowing Coach to talk. And so he is here to talk about whatever he feels is appropriate for us today. So without further ado, Coach Sellers.
You want me to start now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I don't know any of you. I don't think. I don't think I can see everybody. But I'm coming from Clark, Wyoming, which is in the middle of nowhere, kind of. This goes back a long ways in I call it the American Dream, 1973. And I said, I'm going to live in Wyoming someday, and so we are. Well, it's a great form of personal contact. And all I'm trying to do with you is kind of get inside of you. And I don't know what's inside of you. I have no idea, but there'll be a story on that about the middle of my notes that I'm giving you today. But every day, every moment is a new starting line. I hope that's this for you. And I'm talking directly to you. I don't know all of you, but don't think I'm talking to the picture next to you. I'm not. There's two things right up front. One, I want you to become better every day, every moment. That's crucial. So become better every day, every moment. And as we go through this, all I want you to do is compare or contrast to where you are as a coach and a teacher, because great coaches are great teachers first, always. So what's inside of you, become better every day, every chance, a new starting line, and compare, contrast to where you are and what's going on. Two things. I just keep going, 2 or 3 things. Again, better and compare. I'm sharing my passion. My passion is simple. I can get individuals to do the work. That's it. But it's a long-standing process to do that. To develop a work ethic, which is getting that individual to complete the work, demand, or effort. Training is a demand of your sport. Racing is a demand of your sport. And if you're a teacher in the classroom, it's the demand of the subject matter you're teaching. Okay, I'll get back to that because I've been in this business for 46 years. My upfront things are just 3 things with you since I don't know you. I will assume, and this is exactly what I did on everything I did in the classroom for 46 years, with the clinics, with the camps, everything I've done. And I had a Christmas tree farm too. We'll get into that later. But I just 3 things. 1, I will assume you have a positive attitude. And if you have a positive attitude, you don't let anyone or anything make you negative. And always positive people listen. That's number 1. Number 2, I assume, again, you have a sincere desire to become better at what you do. And that means if you're become better every day, and if you're already good, stay that way. 3, this is huge with me in today's society. I assume you're honest. And honest is really simple. Your word and your handshake is good. If you tell me something, I believe you. Unless something erodes that, then I don't have time for that anymore. So that's the 3 things. Remember, focus on, better, and compare. I'm going through the note that Jason sent me on the background, and this is some orientation to what we're doing. Am I okay so far, Coach? Teaching simple. That's how you impart knowledge. That's it. It's how you impart knowledge. Coaching is observing what you've taught and what is done. That's so simple. You're a teacher first. You impart knowledge, how to do things, how to make things, and then you stand back and watch. And you watch individuals, period. I'm adamant about that. Learning is recalling knowledge that you have to use. I got a line on knowledge. Get it, learn it, use it, live it. And that's where my philosophy is coming from. And I'll object a key word right now. And the key word is basic. And if anybody's been around me, you know what that is. Basic is doing the right things first and the first things right. That's it. First things right, first things right, first things right, first things right. That's basic. Okay. Again, let's apply the litmus test. The litmus test is one criteria used to judge something. Again, contrast, compare to what you're getting to what you do to become better. Better, compare. Start with a perspective. Perspective is, this is huge with me. Oh, this is huge with me. I'm trying to speed it up, Coach, so I don't bore everybody, okay? But start with a perspective. Perspective, and it has to be a deep perspective. You have to go way back in the history of tradition, heritage, programs, training, greatness, excellence. You have to know what's been in the past. Compare that to what's going on right now. Then take what the greatness or excellence was in the past and then do it for the future. Currently, I'll tell you right now, it's the greatest opportunity for a distance running coach to be successful, state meet level, whatever your levels are, ever in the history of running. Yet, it's the most difficult to do because of the ways of society are totally against being successful, totally against being an individual. More on that later. The state meet is your starting line. That's your model of excellence. It has not changed I'm going on 75 years I've been on this earth. It has not changed. The time capsules are the same. The racing demands are the same. It's time you have to adjust to that and not go with what everybody else is doing. I'll tell you something else. Time speaks. I use that a lot. In 1968, when I started, runners and kids, I started in a junior high, came to me with all the basics on to start working the first day. That is not it today. There's your perspective. That's your perspective. And the problem with that is the 4 years in high school are the same. Same. They're the same when I was in high school. They're the same when you were in high school. But with today's kids, the difference between those kids compared to 1968 up to about 1974. The difference is those kids came ready to start to work on their own, ready to go to work. Today's kids basically do not know how to work, do not know how to work as an individual, and do not know how to train at higher levels. You gotta deal with that. That's a perspective again. What's going on now to make it work for what has gone on in terms of excellence and greatness. Time speaks. So what you've got in, kids have more to get in place by you in the 4 years than they did in 1968. That's really important to understand. You don't have as much time really, even though it's 4 years. Some of my passion, again, compare. Do you want to become better? Now, 46 years of teaching. I was a health and phys ed teacher for all those 46 years. I taught over 22,000 students, and I could get them to work, most of them. 22,000. That's not inflated, by the way, because I had one semester courses. So I got to teach twice as many people as the normal classroom teacher. Remember, I got to. Coach Weinheimer from Columbus, North has a great line. It's not what you have to do, it's what you get to do. Real important. I started 3 businesses. And the first one was a Christmas tree farm. That's a long story. But I planted by myself 2,000 to 4,000 trees a year, shaped them, da-da-da-da-da-da. I started running camps for 43 years. The clinics have been going since 1987. Teaching workshops since 1994. And let me give you, and I was raised on a dairy farm in southern Michigan. I got to see my dad become self-made coming out as a tenant farmer in the Depression. I got to see my brother, again, self-made. He had a farm bought out of high school, and it was a dairy farm. And you know anything about dairy farming? It's the greatest advantage I've ever had. 24/7, cows got to be milked twice a day. Simple, I think. Okay, let me now, I'm going to share something with you. I already have shared something with you. If you're listening, you better be listening. Okay, now, this. I started with 3 purposes. And I do it today, and I'm doing it with you. I don't want to get too excited, Coach. Sorry. But I really enjoy doing this. But I've got something. It's the price of age gives you a gift of experience. That's all this is. I'm not any different from you. I came right out of the grassroots, right out of the trenches like you. But I had 3 purposes the very first day I coached and taught. 1, I wanted every kid I taught not to look back with regrets when they left high school. Number 2, I wanted to give them the chance to be the very best before they graduated from high school. 3, this is huge with me. I wanted them to learn how to do things on their own so they could jump into the real world and be a contributor to society, totally independent and do work on their own. Those three purposes I'm using right with you. That's what I offer you. And that drive, I could get kids to do the work. And I became a coach in 1970, a cross-country coach. But in 6th grade, I wanted to be a basketball coach. I went to a school in Indiana. You know anything about Indiana basketball? That's like Texas football. And that's all I wanted to do. I went to Elkhart, Indiana. There were no basketball jobs, but there was a 9th grade track job. We just worked really hard and had a lot of great success. I became a cross-country coach in 1970 at Elkhart High School. I didn't know sick 'em. You know what that means? You know, I have any hunting dogs? They don't know sick 'em. You tell them sick 'em, and I didn't know anything. But the kids that came to me, man, did I learn from them, because they brought the work ethic with them. We were 5th in the state that year, and I didn't know anything. Just hard work works. That's all I knew. And we weren't supposed to get out of the sectional. My dream changed from a basketball coach to become a distance coach. Then the next snag was 73, won the state title, because we outworked the state of Indiana. In 1974, society changed. Boom. Society changed. That's the perspective again. The kids started coming to me, not with a work ethic, laced with profanity, got into drugs, and it really tested my spirit as a coach. And I was determined again to those three purposes. The thing that frustrated me is when we do 40 quarters or 20 quarters, sometimes a race, they would race better. When we did 20 or 40 quarters, they raced poorly. It just drove me up a wall. There's gotta be an answer to training to racing. It took 20 years to come up with that. In 1984, I finally arrived at it. That's a long story, but I finally arrived at it, and that's where we are today. And coaches, it's come to the clinics. Jason just mentioned it. It's been a great effect on Texas. Mike Burnett, Justin Leonard. But I'll tell you a story. Justin is at South Lake Carroll. If you know anything about South Lake Carroll, it doesn't do too bad. Well, that was preceded by Robert Andrazik. He laid the foundation for that. In 2004, here's the story. We do the clinic. At the end of the clinic, Robert comes up to me and shakes my hand right at it and says, "Hey, I want to thank you." And he told me why. He said, "I've been looking for this." He said, we were supposed to win a state meet and we didn't. We're always falling short. And he said, "I got 2 sons I want to benefit from this." And I said, "Robert, I want to tell you something. You are like a can of soup. Any of you ever opened a can of condensed soup? What do you add? You add water." And I told him that. I said, "Robert, you had something inside of you to begin with." I said, "All I've done with this clinic is add a little water. That's all you're doing with the kids that come to you. They got to have something inside of them to begin with. And all you do in the time capsule you have them is add a lot of knowledge, a lot of philosophy, a lot of work ethic, and that's the water. So they can be independent when they leave high school." That's it. So that was a true story, and I've used that ever since. So I ask you, am I still on? Am I still on, Coach? Okay. I don't know. I got a bunch of garbage campuses on my screen here. Speaking of Luling. But first of all, what is your philosophy? I'm looking right at you. What's your philosophy? No. Number 2, what is a philosophy? Now I'm going to let you pause on that. You are going to tell me. I want you to start thinking. Oh, there he is, Mr. Ugly himself. Okay, anyway. Hi, Coach. Okay, here we go. A philosophy is what you believe in. And if you don't believe, you say something you don't believe in, stop saying it. That's it. I believe in extra effort is the key to success. I have more on that. That's a key quote. That's it. I started the first day of teaching in my life with that, right off the family farm. Extra effort is the key to success. Mean what you say what you mean. Now, next, motivation. What is motivation? You see, the reason I'm asking you that, you're going to do the same thing with your kids. You're going to impart this kind of knowledge. I call it key words and key principles. And they all got to have the same definition, the same philosophy, so you can lock into the daily work ethic. So how good do you really want to be? So what is motivation? I'm going to give you 4 landmarks of motivation. Simple. I've used them my entire teaching career. Number 1, a kid has the ability to do things on their own. That's it. They stand on their own 2 feet. Number 2, they can work alone. They can work alone in a group and when they are alone. Simple. Number 3, they don't wait for others. Period. They don't wait for others. If you do that, you can become the constraints of the group and not the individual. Number 4 is big with me. You got to follow the rules of being successful. So 1, do things on your own. Do things alone. 3, don't wait for others. And 4, know the rules for becoming better. That's motivation. Then they become independent and they develop an individual work ethic where they train on their own. Okay, your creed. A creed is what you believe in. Here's one that's crucial to just what I've given you. Number 1, we're going to do things others don't, won't, or can't do. Period. We're going to do things others don't, won't, or can't do. Then you develop the work ethic. Now, teams. Teams are for organization only. Don't team the individuals. If you do that, you're going to do all the group stuff and you're going to lose sight of the motivated individual. So what you're really doing is individualizing the team. Look at it this way. You have 30 kids on your team, 12 kids, doesn't make a difference. You got 30 teams of 1. Because the first day of practice, you're going to individualize the workouts immediately as soon as they complete the workout. If you're group oriented, you're like every other coach. And you'll never break out. You'll be just like you are. You'll just be better at what everybody else does. That's all I can tell you on that. I'm getting there. More. I'm about done. More. You either want to be better or you don't. That's it. I can testify in my 46 years of teaching, there was not one day I did not go by and do something to get better. That's quantity and quality, by the way. You either want to be like other coaches or you don't. I hope you don't. But if you want to be like other coaches, I feel for you. I never was that way. Now, compare, better, and all the time. It's what I call COP. You get that? COP. Constancy of purpose. What's your constancy of purpose all the time? Now, if you want more, I try to keep us at 15 minutes, Coach. Okay? I don't know where I am on that. But if you want more, just email me, coachsellers@pavelseminars.com. That's coachsellers@pavelseminars.com. We have now confirmed the Ultimate Clinic. First time I've ever done this. December 10th, 11th, 12th at Byron Nelson High School. Will Carter is going to host that. This is the most inclusive and best Pavel clinic I've ever done. You're going to get everything that goes into getting that runner to be the very best before they leave high school. Now, philosophy again, in closing down, and then you're going to go through the rest of the agenda. If you don't do what you say, quit doing it. Lines hold your philosophy. Effort is the key to success. 2, we go with goal-oriented people. 3, goal-oriented people find ways. 4, every day is a great day. 5, don't waste a heartbeat. Now, there's your structure. Come up with key one-liners that exacts your philosophy to the individual. Compare, better all the time. Done, Coach. Done.
Coach, that was the best 15 minutes of my life.
Well,
right there.
That was not the intent, because you're doing pretty good yourself. But I just, you got to get to know me. You got to know where I'm coming from. And I've been doing, just to add, I've been doing NAEP testing, which is a federal testing program, for the last 3 years. And I get into the schools out here in Wyoming. I still get to see kids, and I still get to work with them a little bit. I can tell you right now, it's an art getting kids to do the work. Remember, today's kids, I'll give you a quick comparison. About 80 to 90% of the kids the first year I taught, I didn't know what I was doing. I taught health. I had a health book. You have sections. You have study questions. 80, 90% of those kids would take that home and do their homework. Compared to today, in my last day of teaching, 2013, 1 to 3% would do it. Today's kids are not like that. Anybody says today's kids aren't different than they were 20 years ago, they're full of hot air. That's not true. That's not true. You are their environment. You are the model in their life. Take my word on that. But you want to be like everybody else. You know what? I really don't care. And you know my line on that. I do care about your kids. If they miss this kind of stuff, I won't get started. My mom had a great line. You want a line from my mom?
Yes.
Somebody say yes. Did you
Yeah.
say yes? Yeah. She said, push the work or the work will push you. That's one. Mom also said, great teachers teach more than subject matter. My mom came out of a one-room school, and she said this about when she was in 8th grade. She said 8th grade was easy. I heard it 7 times before I got there. That's it. My dad always said, hard work works. Hard work works. 2 heads are better than 1 if one has a sheep's head. You got to have gumption. That comes right out of that dairy farm. I'm just sharing with you. I've fought the waves in 46 years. I was a rebel of sort. I got into a lot of situations with principals and other coaches, but I stuck by my philosophy and it works. Even today, there's just the kids don't come to you with that. So you got to put all that in place before you do the first day of training. You want them to work individually to be the very best. Done.
And that's, in a nutshell, that's exactly what Justin Leonard told me, was there's other structures that have to go in place before you can even get them to do the work. And so I've benefited as a coach. Several people on this call have benefited from the philosophy, because we have truly become better at what we do in our craft, because it's all about the principles. It's all about the key structures. And so I'm going to give you a couple, if you have any questions for Coach, this is an opportunity. You can unmute yourself if you like. I'm pretty sure he will be willing to answer any questions that you might have, and then we can kind of go through a few. And I think he's given me a framework of where I want to kind of go for the remaining of our time. So does anyone have a question for Coach Sellers?
Hey, Coach, this is Coach Blanco.
No, I don't want to hear him.
Okay, never mind. Next question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, hey, Coach. So the question that I had was, how do you feel about current training having to take several halts because our sports federation, whatever you want to call it, UIL, continuously takes forever to make decisions?
So what's the first part of the question? I didn't get that.
First part of the question is, what do you think about how training has to not come to a halt, but has to continually change due to our sports federation, UIL, in Texas, having to, not make decisions early enough for us to really plan?
Okay, number one, if your program cultivates getting kids to do things on their own, that's the first barrier, because they got to do it on their own, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, number two, you're always training for a competitive test. Is that right? That's the meets, right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, with the limbo with your state association, then every Well, actually, I got to be careful here, but with the PPM program, some of that's built in, a competitive test.
Yes.
But really, maybe every 3 weeks have a time trial.
Okay.
Put your squad into 2 teams and
Okay.
compete. See what I'm
Okay.
saying? Just
Yeah.
keep competitive energy alive until you get a definite direction when the state meet's going to be. Does that help?
That does help, except for the fact that we can't have our kids meeting up together.
Yep.
My district has discouraged that.
Yeah, well,
So
that's simple. That's simple. They still got to do it on their own.
okay.
And then they don't have to wear a face mask.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Cool. Yes,
And
sir.
they should report to you. And then you should teach off of that.
Yes.
You should teach off of that. Maybe with this format. This is a pretty good format. This.
No, for sure.
Did I answer
I
your
completely agree. Yes,
Did I
thank you.
answer-
Yes, thank you.
Actually, that was one of the questions that came across by other coaches in a group that I had. They were, wondering how we're going to adjust those plans. And like you said, I figured it's all about the individual, and the individual's got to be willing to do it on their own. So excellent, Coach. Any other questions?
Yeah, I got a question actually kind of related to that. Our program is pretty new where we're growing, and I think we put a lot of foundation and groundwork for what a real team looks like. But Coach, how do you empower your athletes to do that work on their own? How do you encourage them to say, like, this is what real teams do, and if you want to be a real runner, like, you have to do the work on your own? How do you encourage that and empower that?
Number one, right away, you're going to have logbook sessions. You got to have a logbook. You got to have a notebook. I don't care how you do it. 3x5 cards, 5x8 cards, line notebook paper. But you've got to get knowledge in place first so they can use it. And you got to start working on making good choices as an individual. To do it on your own and quickly define that, then you got to challenge the group to do that. Then you'll see who will not. Those who do get to move on in the training. Those who don't, stay where they are. That's the general principle of that. But a lot of it is getting knowledge in place first, being a strong individual, making good choices to do the training that you set out for them. Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Okay. I always ask that because I got to make sure it's going in. So
that's it. Coach Sellers, when we began this, our first logbook session, coach's logbook session, was solely on philosophy.
That's right.
And because that's all that matters. That is the first pillar if you're going to build you a program. And so these guys, most of these are returning from our from our first one. And Coach Harris, actually, I don't know if you remember him, he came to the session at the seminar at SAGU, and he's from Jacksonville. And after our session, he sent me he put it on paper. I said, because a philosophy without, not on paper isn't a philosophy. It's a dream that changes overnight as you sleep. And so he put it on paper, and he is taking it to the next step. And so that's what I told Compost. That's the first thing he needs to do when he steps foot on Luling campus, is begins that program.
I might add back to, is it Ben? Yeah, Ben, I'm looking at you, Ben. Back to what you said, that clinic in December 10th, 11th, 12th, Mike Barnett, if you know anything about Mike Barnett, who doesn't know Mike Barnett, the classic Luling coach, is going to supplement every presentation. He's going to tell you how he did that with the question you had. It's the most intense thing I've ever done. I'm not going to be here forever, so if I'm going to plant a big tree, I want to plant it right. And I've been doing this clinic since 1987. And each one's gotten better. But I'll give you the whole bore, how I got kids to work hard and then to higher levels and outwork everybody in your state. It starts with one kid, though. Your leadership starts with one. It's not a group project. Groups are for organization only. So you can do logbook sessions and cultivate that individual breaking out as a motivated individual. I have a lot to share with you. And again, just email me. I'm working on a perspective, a thing on perspective. I'll give it a week to get it done, but if you want that in the clinic material, just email me. I'll answer it within 48 hours. And so, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Another one.
I don't care if you ask a question or not. Doesn't hurt my feelings. Can I say? I'll say something. I'll say something.
So,
say something.
All right, Coach. Well,
I'm done then.
Excellent. Okay, so this is how we're going to proceed, because we're about to enter in. Well, before I do that, Coach Sellers, thank you so much for your time. That is exactly why you're here.
You telling me to sign off?
No, sir. No, not at all. Please stay.
Don't tick me off, buddy.
but we do thank you for your time for sure and your insight. But so we are entering into a uncharted waters. I tweeted out the other day, man, I just want to step foot in charted waters one more time, see what that's like again. You know, so we don't know what it looks like. We don't know. It changes daily, regardless of it. And one thing I promised when we first started this is we don't get political. That's not what this is about. But as we all know, this has affected every single one of us, and it continues to change daily. And so the question is how do we approach the unknown that's coming in a few weeks, some sooner than others? How do we approach it that is going to cultivate individuals to continue to strive for excellence? What are we going to do as coaches? How are we going to be able to do that? Because like Coach said, and that's what I said, he kind of framed what I wanted to talk about as a group, or put it out there, is he said, we in our 4 years time with our students, our goal is to have no regrets. Our goal is to, you know, we have a chance for them to be their best they possibly can be within those 4 years. And, you know, how to do things on their own. But how are we going to do that when we don't have access to them as we normally would? We don't know if there'll be a meet. We don't know if there's enough meets for everybody to compete if you're only allowed 8 schools. And are they going to allow you or somebody else? I mean, that's the big question right now, but those are out of our hands. Those are things that we can't control. What are we going to do as coaches, as leaders who have our students' best interests at heart? How can we create avenues for them to still be successful? Because regardless of it, season happens, season don't. It doesn't happen. 4 years is still rolling. That clock is still rolling. That time capsule is shrinking by the moment. So what do you think? Any ideas, any thoughts on how do we proceed?
Can I say something?
Yes.
In your program, again, back to what Coach Blanco said, offer key competitive tests. Number 2, have kids share their personal best, and then have a weekly or daily, do your logbook sessions just like this, or send them an email and then follow up. You got to stay in constant contact with these kids, because motivation, they got to know you're watching. That's huge with motivated kids. They want the coach to watch and guide, and the better they come, you'll find this out, the less they want you to watch. That's great. That's like the pole vaulters. All the pole vaulters want you to do eventually, a sideline is just to catch the pole. Tell me what you saw and catch the pole. Well, that's kind of what great kids want to do. But recognize achievement always in their training. New training levels, and from the clinic, state meet landmarks being achieved. So you're ready when the state meets come. But 2, you're going to do things others don't want or can't do. I can tell you right now, there's a lot of coaches not doing anything. They're just out running. Their kids just out running. No, run with a purpose. Recognize it. Have an achievement board, a top 10 list on your PPM courses, things that motivate kids to keep going until you get to the first meet, because you can't wait on your state association, can you? Can't wait on them. You're going to do things others don't want or can't do. That's so important. And recognize each individual. That's a structure. You'd find a way to do that. I know what I would do. I'd be on them right now, and I have personal contact with them. And I'd be putting, they'd be filling out their logbook right now, because anyone can download a PDF for a logbook, log sheets. They can all do that and report back to me. So that's just ideas. You got to find a way. Goal-oriented people find ways. And remember, the motivated, here's a good line for you coaches. If you want to write it down. Don't want to write it down? Do I care? Nope. But I know it's been offered. The motivated does what the unmotivated despises. Touchdown. The motivated does what the unmotivated despises. Big. One-liners, hold your philosophy. A one-liner a day. And I'm going to can I keep going on this?
Yes, sir.
Number 2, you're after the parents. Darn it. You're after good parents, because you want to give those kids what good parents are trying to give them at home to be. A one-parent concern is my son or daughter at age 18 becomes a real adult in the real world and can stand on their own 2 feet. There ain't a parent out there that doesn't have one concern. I want to be careful who my kid hangs with. Is that right? You better believe it is. I tell you, you'll learn. And again, you'll learn. I'll shut up. You'll learn just as much from your kids as you're giving them. I'll tell you that right now. Watch good kids. They'll teach you what you need to know. Okay, that's it. Keep in touch. Constant contact is your marketing. The logbook is what you are when you're not around. And the parents look at the logbook. Parents that don't care, don't care. The parents that care, though, if you're not doing what they do, they'll take the kid out of your program. Mark my words on that one. That's all I got on that. I'm a parent and a grandparent, too. Is Justin on today? I don't know if Justin's on today or not.
He's not on today. He has been several times.
Okay.
Anyone else have some input?
Just sharing what I know.
That's it. That's all this format is. Coach Seller's biggest line to me that always stands out is he's not any better. He's not any better than me. He's just ahead of us. And so a lot of you young coaches is we're just ahead of you, some of you. And all of us, this pandemic has kind of evened the playing field. There's no one who is ahead of us in this, because we're all dealing with this same muddy water together. And so we want to figure out things to stay competitive. For my program, my practice, the kind of the protocol for us is I'm not going to be able to have conversations directly after my practice with my runners about things, because I watch my kids to tell you, I know every time they come across, I know everything that on that run, because my job is to catalog and watch, and we discuss after. But unfortunately, I'm going to not be able to do that due to COVID on our campus with our restrictions. So my plan is I'm going to create a Google form that's going to have questions about that workout every day. And so they are required to submit that Google form to me so we can have that contact directly after, so I can know what goes on. So that's what, when Robert and I talk, how did that short PPM look? I started falling off at mile 1, but I got stronger. I kind of settled in. Okay. Those conversations will need to be had virtually, digitally, through text. But so I've created a format that we can have that conversation immediately. Because you don't want them to say, go back and write it in your logbook and call me later on. No, because just like everything else, life gets busy. And then you forget, and then we don't get any better. We miss that opportunity. And so they're going to be required to have that on their phone. They always have their phone with them. And to fill that out right after. And so I can have that communication and we can have that dialogue going, because I want them to know that I watch. My coaching happens after the practice, and so like when we go to meets, everyone, we're getting prepared for meets. I don't coach at meets. I coach at practice. Meets is whenever they show what they've learned at practice, and so that's that opportunity. And that's kind of how we're going to approach things going forward.
Well, as you talk, I just see all kinds of opportunity in this as we've discussed this. Believe me, just this technique right here, getting kids in face-to-face, Skype, on my Apple, FaceTime. I tell you, it's to me, it's the greatest opportunity to be successful when nobody else is doing it. So you're going to do things others don't want or can't do. And you're teaching life's lessons. Remember, the educational value of what you're giving is a #1 priority in athletics. And that's not in the philosophy anymore. I followed this over the years, sadly. But when I was in school, athletics was, it was to teach you. Win or loss is to teach you. And I tell you, it's not much of what we share today is not much going on. Not much of that going on. And with Mike Barnett, he'll give you the whole thing in the clinic. But remember, Justin Leonard he's been dusting your rear ends for a long time in Texas. You ought to figure that out. Maybe, just maybe, you with me? So, okay.
That Justin Leonard beating our tail is the reason why we have this. It's evolved to this because I was tired of getting our tail beat in.
I'm going to tell you something else since nobody's asked me any questions. You got to speak up, man. I got 2 things I want to tell you. One's a story. The other is, remember, I want to make a difference with kids. And I hold them accountable for standards. They do not move on unless they complete the work. It works, people. Number 2, I remember in my first 15 years of coaching, I went to clinic after clinic after clinic after clinic after clinic. And what I was finding out was not what I was seeing. Because if you get a kid to work really hard, they will be your best laboratory you'll ever have. Study that. But I wasn't seeing it. But I can remember, and 2 key experiences. One was Sam Palolo. And I could go on and on about this man. He just passed away last fall. Man, it's not a mentoring program. I don't mentor. I don't get into that. That means the coach is weak. But key resource people, he was one. He knew things not found in books. Number 2, when I went to that clinic in 1979 and listened to Dan Candiano, the coach of the 3 Indiana runners under 9 minutes in the 2 mile, and Bill McChesney's coach, Harry Johnson. Remember, Chapa and McChesney were running national class 10Ks in high school. They were at the 100+ miles a week. That put it all together. And I remember going back from that clinic, and I got 2 more things to say about clinic. Remind me to come back with what a clinic is, okay? Do that or I'll forget it. And I remember stopping at a Fazoli's in Kokomo, Indiana. You ever eaten at a Fazoli's? Fazoli's? Get all the breadsticks, right? I mean, I ate 20 breadsticks. And my plate was so dry and crusted they couldn't even wash it off. I stayed there so I was writing notes. Note after note after note. I had it. And then I found somebody to do it. In 1980s, today, those kids that were not doing higher level mileage or anything. But anyway, to make another story back to the clinics. Those early clinics, when the coaches got done, I would go down, and remember you have a question and answer, you get in groups with the coach. I didn't know anything. I just got on the outside of the group and listened to what the coaches were asking and how they responded. Then that was the clinic within the clinic. And if you notice with the format and the clinic coming up in December, it's going to be just as much from coaches like Jason, Mike Barnett, Will Carter, Jerry Carter, Elias, John Singleton. It's going to be just as much from those coaches in forums as there will from me. I'm really excited about this. I'm so excited I got yellow socks. That was a joke. Anyway, just wake up every day and become better. You don't look any different. You just privatize your motivation. You really do. And life is really, it's all about the long range goals. It really is. And home, vocation, home, marriage, and family. That's it. That's it. Vocation, how you're going to make a living, home, marriage, and family. That's it. I could go on and on, Coach. I don't want to dominate this.
That's it, Coach. And that's what I tell my runners. I tell my runners every single day. One day, there's more to life than just running. Every day you'll be like me, short and fat. That's how it works. It all comes back. You know, as long as at the end of the day you learn to be a better person, a better citizen, a better wife, a better husband, and that's what we teach, and that's what it's about. And we have this opportunity as coaches. Every single one of us have kids in our care that are relying on us to hold them to standards.
I've got some more notes here if you want them.
Well, Coach, I think Coach Blanco has another question. He didn't like to turn on his camera.
He's asking another question?
Yeah, I know. I'm going to start charging him.
Okay, go ahead, Coach. Where are you?
He didn't know how to work it.
Sorry, I'm on mute here. Sorry about that. And I'm eating, by the way. Sorry about that. Again, I apologize.
Again.
Sorry, wait.
Okay, so my question is this: this is another season question. So we're only allowed one division per competition, as per our rules, right? So, for example, if we have a meet, it can be varsity only, or it can be JV only, or it can be freshman only. My question is this: is it wrong for me to just attend varsity meets and use that as motivation for all my team to try to get onto the varsity roster? Or should I try to form a JV meet on another day to have my JV compete? That's my question. And at the varsity meets, there's going to be some meets that allow 10 runners to run instead of 7, for example. So I guess that's my question to you.
Okay. Do you have an assistant coach?
Yes, but I wouldn't rely on him. But yes, I do have one.
Okay. So you have. Okay.
He's on the payroll.
Sorry. I mean, just being honest.
The whole idea why you train.
By the way, on YouTube, just saying.
The whole idea is to train so you can race.
Yes.
Why you wouldn't do that with the JV? You got to find a way.
Okay.
To give as many competitive experiences allowed as possible.
Okay.
That's what you teach off of, isn't it?
Of course. Of course.
That's the teaching part of it, learning the lessons of being a competitive runner and picking yourself back up and get ready for the next meet. Preparation tied to racing. That's the key experience.
Okay.
Did I answer your question?
So then what you're recommending is try to get them as many race opportunities as possible.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Why not put yourself if you're a JV runner, how would you feel about
it? Exactly. And that's how I felt about it as well. But I was trying to figure out how we're going to do this because in our county, it's very difficult with travel and all that kind of stuff. So trying to get everything going with our district and all that. But I mean, I do want that. And I'm trying to talk to my athletic director about maybe even hosting at our campus, maybe like a tri-meet or a dual meet or a tri-meet. That way the JV and the freshmen can try to have an opportunity to race.
You know what? You're using that. What's between your two ears?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a joke. Never mind.
I know. But thank you. I appreciate that answer, Coach.
Yeah, I was getting ready to tell you, host a meet.
Yeah, I will. That's what I'm going to do.
As much as you can. Don't let others, and some of it you can't avoid, but find a way. Remember, goal-oriented people find ways.
Yes.
And
there's a lot of opportunity to make some money to have just be a park that hosts meets 6 days a week. Invite everybody. That's the way to do it. I'm considering that.
Well, it is what it is.
Side business. Coach C's meets.
And
We
and the thing is, we have a PPM 1 mile loop that we use at our campus. So I'm just thinking, well, why don't we just use that to host the JV and the freshman meets? Maybe a Monday afternoon or a Tuesday afternoon, and we just lace them up and go attack the PPM loop.
I love this. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
You're thinking. You're thinking.
Yeah.
Maybe a new experience.
Okay, now that's not a funny joke, but okay, I'll take that one.
So, Coach, what I think is.
Can I add something else? Tell you, Coach.
Coach, I got something I just thought about as well. I think what we need as coaches, we need to redefine what a meet is. Because if we redefine what a meet is, if we can have meets constantly on our own.
True. That's true.
Just because does a meet have to have other schools? Does it have to have 8 schools? I mean, we have to, as this is an opportunity that we need to change the way we look at competition. Because I made a joke with my coaching friends, is my schedule may be Texas Wesleyan invite, duel with SAGU, SAGU invite, duel with Texas Wesleyan, SAGU, Twilight, duel with Texas Wesleyan. You get what I'm saying? It's like whatever I have to do is to make sure we can compete, we need to do. And so if that's on a PPM loop, if that's at a park, we may have freshman only meet, and it just be, like we talked about last week, you create a meet, you create teams amongst your team. You divvy them up and you make teams of 5, and you have meets. You let them wear their uniform, and they're competing. Maybe you have a team with the jersey this way, one inside out, and then you're competing until it looks like a meet. You buy bibs, whatever it takes to make a competitive atmosphere. That is our job, because we may not be able to go. We struggle. I believe we're a competitive team that struggles to get into meets because we take points off of people and opportunities from other schools. And so if we're limited on the amount of meet size, even at the college level, does that mean they're going to choose a different school over mine? Probably. So I'm going to have to be creative with my own group. And so maybe that's something you smaller schools or just even the less competitive groups. Because if you got a competitive school and a less competitive school going to a meet, who's to say who they're going to let in when they can select? And that's what I told Compost while he was talking to me yesterday. That you need to create a cohort of schools, and that's who you're going to compete against. And you're setting up meets with between 3 or 4 schools, and that is your cohort of competition. And at a high school level, you're a little bit better than we are in college, is everyone's guaranteed a district meet as long as they have them still. So you're not having to fight for rankings to earn a right to go to the next level, to advance. And so as long as you're competing, I think you're still, you're at a better situation than those that can't even get in, who aren't doing something like this, thinking outside of the box to still have meets for your kids. And I'm done. I'm off my box. Go ahead, Coach Sellers. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, this is a thing I put together. It kind of capsulizes the whole Pavo philosophy. And remember, Pavo Nurmi, here's your perspective. What was, what is, what can be. Remember, Pavo Nurmi did in 1920s 2 things on this. 1, he ran alone. 2, he timed every run. 3, he wanted to be the very best in the world. 4, he ran hard every day. 5, he chased trolley cars to become better. Get your kids, you won't find trolley cars, but you'll find light poles. There's a lot of ways, because Gary Long in 1973 would run many races from light pole to light pole along the railroad tracks. I remember Mike Barnett saying, he used to always have a race on every hill he went out and ran. The top of the hill was the finish line. All the great ones run the state meets while they're training. It's important to understand what makes an individual tick. I've seen it over and over and over about that individual who was highly motivated. Give them a place to go. Others will follow. The very weakness of today's groups is they want to be a group. Turn that over. Get one to break out so the others chase them. You use the very weakness of turning into a strength. It's about, you got 30 individuals, you got 30 groups of one. I'll give you a little more here. I'll just give you some initial thoughts. Motivation is singular to you. On your own, alone. You need to be known as an independent and self-reliant individual. Remember, you observe the intense kids. They'll give you all the answers. They really will. It's about you getting ahead of your age group. You realize leadership is always one person. It's not a group. This is not a group project. Motivation is not a group project. So I ran across this morning. I'm just going to read this since nobody's interrupting me. You can interrupt me anytime you want. I don't care. I like this from Albert Einstein. It was a pretty sharp cookie, by the way. The difference between genius and stupidity is that genius has its limits. Now think about that one. I'll tell you, can I tell another story? I'll tell two stories. You coaches like stories? Yes or no? Somebody say yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 There he is. Who's this guy? This guy, I see the top of his head with a clock on top of it. Welcome, Coach. How you doing? Okay, two stories. One, my senior year in high school. Well, let's go back to my ninth grade health class, who was a high school basketball coach. And he went around to ask everybody what they wanted to do when they got out of high school. This is a ninth grade health class. Came to me and said, I want to be a coach. That class laughed at me. They laughed at me. Don't get me started. Okay, my senior year, I go into my guidance counselor. A pudgy little man in a four-wheel chair and the filing cabinet behind him. I said, I need my transcripts to go to Western Michigan University, where I went. And he kept, if you can watch me, he turns around, opens up the filing cabinet, pulls out my Q file. And he looks at it and chips back with, look at me here, chips back with his glasses down like that. He's kind of a fat toad. You with me? You know what a fat toad is? Looks like a fat toad. Okay, anyway. He said, you sure you want to go to Western Michigan? And I said, yeah, I do. He said, well, you got a below normal IQ. Well, today's kids are probably punching. My neck got red, and I said, okay. I knew that day I went to see Mrs. Rathburn, who was a family friend in the principal's office. I said, well, Mr. Gusky's busy. Can you get my transcripts for me? That's how I got my transcripts. I got through Western in 3 years, by the way. I took some 20, 21, 24, and 25-hour semesters. They don't even let you do that anymore. Yeah, I was determined, no doubt about it. And the first day as a cross-country coach, the first meet, I didn't even know what a shoot was. That's honest to God truth. And maybe not knowing is the best thing I did, because that made me work a little harder. But I think it's important that this is a key experience for you. I hope this is something that changes you into a better direction. And remember, bad experiences teach you quickly. Good ones take a little longer. That's from Rick Weinheimer. Look for the adventure in living, doing things you did not think you could do. Doing things you never knew you were going to do. And above all, firm conviction in why you make decisions. That's your philosophy. The standard of excellence is always found in the heart of the individual. Always. These are just from living a pretty intense life. And the wealth of experience is not measured in dollars. Never. Never. And just keep things simple by living by from one line. Extra effort is the key to success. It's never failed me. That's all I got. Unless you want more, I can just go on and on. I love to share stuff because if I don't share it, nobody gets it. Nobody gets it. In your classroom, if you're not taking learning seriously, nobody gets it. But if you do, somebody's getting it. It's going inside of them, believe me. You may not know for years later, but somebody's getting it. But if you're a joke, everybody will be a joke. You better be serious about what you do.
Excellent. Well, Coach, thank you for your time. Thank you for just investing in us as coaches. Coaches, thank y'all for investing, 4 weeks of your summer here. It was intended to be 6 weeks long. That was the goal. Unfortunately, last week got us. Next week, my wife told me that she has set up a vacation for us. So I'm excited about that. And so we'll be gone on Tuesday. So our last one will unfortunately not be able to happen because I will be hanging out and not thinking about this for sure. But I do want to thank you for investing your summer with me, with us. I feel there's no doubt about it. I feel better going into the year than I would have just sitting on the couch. You guys taught me a lot. I feel like I am better prepared for my kids. Hope that my kids are better prepared due to this, have an opportunity to be better prepared because we hung out together. I'm going to look at maybe continuing doing something like this during the year. Maybe we'll set up a time that we can all hang out and catch up and continue to grow together because, this is for sure, no doubt about it, uncharted waters that will probably continue for a long time and out of our hands. But let's grow together. I really and truly wish you all the best this year, and like Coach Sellers mentioned, the Pavo Clinic is coming back to Texas. We will not be hosting it, unfortunately, at SAGU like we normally would. It's going to be at Byron Nelson High School. Once all that information officially comes out, I will forward all that information on to you. Expect that place to be a packed house, social distancing. Hopefully doesn't have to apply, but we will be able to go and learn together. Our goal is hopefully be able to attend. I know my staff, that's our goal, to be there. That is also right in indoor season, so who knows? But that's all that I have. If anyone else, this is an opportunity for you to really just thank Coach Sellers for for his time, and so we can go better. Unless, Coach, you have one more last remark before I let this go. I know you have one.
Yeah.
Let's listen.
Coach Blanco.
Yes, sir.
And I got something about you.
I just stood up. By the way.
Go ahead.
You
have a question?
No. Sorry, I just stood up. I was sitting down, but I'm standing up because I want to hear this.
Okay. Well, it's about you.
Oh.
And Jason, it goes on and on and on. Your most important people you teach are your children. Remember, Robert Andrzejczyk asked that question because he's concerned about his son as a runner. Remember, your kids, you teach yourself. If you were a highly motivated individual who want to be the very best, how would you teach yourself?
Yeah.
And you better understand that with your kids because your kids will be the most important part. My two sons, again, my mom said, when you teach your kids, you're teaching your grandkids. And right now, I have 4 greatest grandkids. 3 are going to be teachers. I had nothing to do with that, other than I'll give you my 4 basics. Listen, think, do things on your own, follow the rules or structures. I raised my 2 kids on that, and I had to adjust to that first. It comes out of me first, and I try to exhibit that with my 2 sons. Both are self-made. My grandsons are just doing great. And now at last you're on that way. Your wife's expecting, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, sir.
Here we are. Vocation, home, marriage, and family. There you are.
Yes.
That'll be your most important person to teach if you want to be self-reliant and stay out of the
Yes.
Groups with young kids today are really bad. That's all I got, other than every day is just right for you.
Thank you.
Just right for me. It's a great day. Better, compare to get better. That's all I got. Hey, thanks for your time, coaches.
Thank you, Coach Steller.
It's up to you now. Coach. Do I care about you? No.
No, we care about the kids.
Kids, you coach.
Excellent. All right, everybody. Thank y'all again. Y'all have a great rest of the summer, and we'll see y'all hopefully on the cross country course. Take care.
All right. See y'all.